Hey everyone, thank you for following along with our podcast journey. We're so grateful for all your support. We're taking a little holiday break and gearing up for season 2 in January, but we didn't want to leave you empty-handed. So we pulled together some of the best college readiness tips from all the incredible guests we've had so far. Happy holidays from our podcast family to yours. We'll see you soon for season 2. Now, let's get into it. You ready? Okay.
1, 2, 3.
Episode 12. Keep Megan happy and everybody's happy.
Yes,
Get it.
that is true.
One of the problems that I encountered when I was a school counselor is that kids were taking all these AP classes, right, and doing all these extracurricular activities and doing all these internships because they were just filling up a list of checklists instead of really understanding existentially, like, who am I? What am I good at? What is my role it's going to be in society? And spending time exploring that instead of just trying to, fill out a checklist of do's and don'ts.
So when you encounter a student, they come into your office and they say, hey, I've got all these things. Is this long enough list? Is this a, extensive enough list? And you're kind of understanding them, and you know that maybe that they're not being true to who they are. What advice or kind of guidance do you give them?
Well, it's giving permission, to be honest. It's saying it's okay. I mean, it's okay to tell them some of the struggles we encountered in 9th grade, right? And some of the struggles that happened in 10th, especially in your essay, right? Because your essay has become really one of the few ways that college admissions can see who you are, right? And you can maybe even explain some of your grades, right? And you know what? Reading some of those essays, and I read almost all of them, those are the ones that stand out. It's the ones that are authentic, and you can read it. It's right off the bat. You're like, wow, this kid is has gone through struggles and overcome those struggles. And then sometimes in some of the essays, they would say, well, now I don't struggle anymore, right? And I'm like, no, I don't think that's how it works. We're going to struggle, and it's okay to say, I'm still figuring it out, right? Like, I haven't overcome my anxiety, right? Or I haven't overcome, my depression even, right? Or so it's okay to say, I'm still figuring it out in your essays, and let people know who you are. And I think you'll be surprised at the outcome is better than you anticipated. One of the greatest advice that I got in college admissions was from college advisors, in particular the Ivy League schools. It was the best advice that they told us to tell the students was, hey, find what they love and then go deep into that area, right? It's not so much deep and wide, right? It's more about depth. Find what you love and then go deep. And you don't have to go deep in every area, right? It's not like nobody's expected to be good at everything, not just good, excellent at everything. You don't need 4 or 5 AP courses in social studies if you don't love history, right? If that's not your thing, or sciences, or the maths. Pick something that you love and then go deep in that. And not just deep academically, like deep in like socially, right? Volunteer in those areas, extracurricular, right? And so find alignment, right? And I know that's difficult to ask at an 8th grader or 9th grader, right? What do you want to do? Figure it out now, right? But because
explore.
And I think part of that is also our failure as educators, is that we don't spend enough time trying to help students figure out who they are, right? What is it? What makes you come alive is what great question you could ask a kid. What is it? Now, of course, the answer is changes every 6 months, right? But still, like, the more you ask that question, the more the student starts to, brainstorm about what is it that I love, what brings me passion, and then as a parent, then you want to dig into that, right? What is it? So then we're gonna go all in on that. And so I think that's good advice.
What kind of resonates with me, what you're talking about, being a parent, is having conversations about college admissions, having conversations about college happens even before high school,
Right.
And I think that's critical. Some advice I got a long time ago and have used is if I'm at a new city or a city with my family, swing by a college and do a quick college visit. Even if your kids are 10, 11, 12, because they get to kind of see what that looks like and what does a college student look like and what is a quad and what's the library look like. And so you kind of spark that excitement about college.
Right. Again, it's about fit.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about the brand. You need to figure out who you are, what is it that you love, and then go find your people. That's what college is. Where are your people? Okay? And if they rejected you, they're probably not your people. Okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
So go find your people. But you can only find your people if you know who you are, right? If you don't know who you are, then you don't know who your people, right, is.
So let them process through that pain, let them process through that heartache, and then shift to, let's go find a school that does want you, that you'd fit in perfectly, and that you're going to love.
Yeah, because some of the reasons kids want to go to that college, they're silly, right? And you think about it, like there is quantifiably, whenever a football team wins their college football, wins the championship, admission goes up, I don't know, like 20, 40%.
Oh yeah, University of Colorado, perfect example of that.
Just skyrockets.
Yes.
So kids chose to go to college.
Just
not
because they were on game day.
That's right, because they showed up and they have a really good football team. Nothing to do with whether they have the major they want, right? And so, which is fine. Eventually they'll figure it out, even in that university or that setup. But again, it's a better setup for you to align who you are with the choices that you have. And so, yeah.
That's super.
We do ask a lot of our AVID students, take a rigorous class, be involved in extracurricular activity because colleges look for that. Do community service. Colleges look at that, So we do ask a lot from them. So one of our requirements is a planner, right? So we actually order planners every summer. You just reminded me I need to put that order in amongst all the other things I got to do right now. But we give each AVID student a planner in the fall. And we do planner and binder checks because organization is vital. If you're doing the homework but you don't know where you put it to turn it in, that's a problem, right? You can be the smartest kid in the school, but if you can't turn in and keep track of your stuff, that's not going to serve you well when you're in your career.
Sure.
Because again, we're teaching those life skills, right? All of this is repetition. The more they do it regularly, the more they're going to do it naturally when they get out of high school, right? And that's the thought process behind a lot of this. And so, I just totally went squirrel.
Squirrel, verb, to be distracted by something unrelated. So we're talking about goal setting.
Goal setting, that's right.
Yeah. How do you motivate, how do you support, how do you get students ready to be successful on like standardized testing, SAT, ACT?
So we incorporate time in the AVID classroom to essentially give them pointers and coach them on how to take the tests.
Super. And
then we also let them take practice tests, collaborate with friends or peers, excuse me. I say they're friends because most of the whole class knows each other, right? And so we actually work it into our curriculum. We also work with our students and help them for the actual taking the test. So our campus, in fact, our whole district, Richardson School District, we, when the students are juniors in the spring, they test every single junior for the ACT, and it's free.
That's great.
And so that way, every student has at least a benchmark ACT. And then if they want to take it again, they absolutely can, or take the SAT. Yeah. So we also provide, to study materials, but really we encourage them to study more on their own. Yeah. Because while you're in the classroom, you're going to be distracted, but you got to own it. And that's part of something that we teach in AVID. You got to own it. You got to own yourself and things like that. So, but guiding them on always answer every question on this test because you can't get you won't lose points for a wrong answer.
Yes.
Little things like that.
To.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we want to make sure they know those things before they go into the test and then know where they have resources to make sure they're studying.
I'll be honest, I find that traditional test prep can feel like busy work. 1,000 questions here, 1,000 more there, and not much learning in between. UWorld takes a smarter approach. Our prep for the SAT and ACT gives students meaningful practice under time conditions, explains why they miss questions, and builds the skills that lead to real score gains. Educators love UWorld because it bridges assessment and instruction, turning practice into actual learning. Visit collegereadiness.uworld.com and empower your students with practice that teaches. you've got a student AVID. What's the process to start getting them college ready?
So it's definitely aligned 9 through 12 as, scaffolding, building upon. So what else? The main things and components that we teach in AVID every single year are organization, test-taking strategies, study skills, focus note-taking is huge. I could go on and on about learning how to teaching kids how to take notes and actually having them
notes, all the good stuff,
yeah,
right?
all of it. Well, going back and using the notes, highlighting them, make them messy and dirty because you've used them.
Yeah.
They should be pristine. But I don't want to go off on that tangent yet. But so focus note-taking, public speaking, how to present yourself in front of people, how to handle a conversation with an adult. And then we're also, one of the requirements that we have is that students are in at least one of the most rigorous coursework that they can handle. Essentially, pre-AP, AP, dual credit on-ramps. And so we bring together all these components and then we support them through tutorials. And so we have tutors that come into the classroom every week. And students work on, it's called a tutorial request form. It can be a little confusing at first, but it's meant to teach students how to think through their problem. So, the biggest complaint with teachers and tutoring sessions, the kid will come up and say, I don't know what to do. And they're like, well, what do you have a problem with? All of it. Well, no, really, where do you get stuck? And so the TRF essentially walks them through that process. And so then they come into the classroom, they sit in groups of 7 or less because we want to make sure that everybody's contributing and participating. And they each take turns going through the problem that they brought to the class that day that they couldn't figure out in one of their other classes. It could be math, science. It could be even help me develop my essay. I'm struggling with my thesis, And so they have that every single week as a support. And we have former AVID students that come in as tutors. Yeah. We have the local colleges come in as tutors, some as work study for the colleges at UTD currently, and even some retired educators too.
Yeah.
It starts 9th grade. And a lot of students forget that when they're in 9th grade because senior year looks so far away. They think, oh, I've got time to fix things if I screw up my freshman year. But that's not really the case because you ever destroy your GPA, it's really hard to get it back up, right? So I tell the freshmen there are 4 major things that colleges typically look for in an application. It's going to be your GPA, of course, right? They're also going to be looking at courses of rigor.
Yep.
They would rather see a student get a B in an AP or dual credit class than an A in a regular class because now the college knows that the student is capable of more rigorous work, and so they're more likely to take them on, Sometimes the students get so hung up on the GPA, but really so many schools now are looking holistically, which was how I got into UT. Mm-hmm. And so, so GPA, courses of rigor, every year if you can, right? Every year. And if you can't, try to take one in the summer for dual credit at a local community college because those are oftentimes even free or very reduced price. Extracurricular activities. They don't want a kid that's just going to school and coming home. They want a well-rounded student. Mm-hmm. They want students who are willing to give to their community and build the community around them. And so they want students who are involved and know how to be socially interactive. Yeah. And then finally, the 4th one is community service, serving others over self.
First off, the reason why AP is open for all is because if you've got an aptitude or you've got a passion for one of these subjects, we should encourage students to dive in. And if they're struggling, that's okay. Productive struggle is a thing. And we like productive struggle because you're getting better and better and better through your exploration and through failing forward and all that kind of stuff. So I think that part is huge. And I think saying that an AP teacher really knows their content is absolutely true. And I think what separates the, good AP teacher from the great AP teacher is knowing the content and knowing how to deliver it in such a way that it's engaging to all the students and brings all of them along. So you are around fantastic AP teachers. You see them in action. What's those key differences? What takes that good AP teacher and moves them to great AP teacher?
The best thing that I ever did for myself when it came to teaching AP classroom was to admit to my classes that I didn't know everything. And when I stopped and I allowed my students to start talking and engaging with me and teaching me things and having part of the conversation and teaching each other.
Yeah.
And I really became more of a facilitator than a
Yes.
teacher. They took it.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think that I had faith. I was a young teacher, and I don't think that I had faith that my students could do something like that. And when I saw it, I thought, wow, this is just amazing. I mean, give them the reins, let them do it, and you facilitate, fill in the gaps for them. And the students that don't have the natural ability or don't have the background knowledge will get it from the people around them.
Absolutely.
And the more people that they hear things from differently, the more they're going to learn, because the way I say it may not be the way they learn it, but the way Joe Bob over here says it may be the way that says it just the way that person is going to say, now I get it. So why am I robbing them of that opportunity?
Colleges, in my experience, when you talk to them about admissions, they don't necessarily want to see somebody that cafeteria styled their resume and has 40 different things. What is your passion? What have you done to dive deeper into that passion and create leadership opportunities for you? That speaks very loudly. We've got this baseball player. He was our captain shortstop several years ago, and he wanted to play D1 baseball. And unfortunately, coming out of Highland Park, his best option was to go to Paris Junior College. And he tore it up. And now he plays at TCU. And so he realized his dream. It just took a path that maybe was different.
Well, and making sure students understand the reality of the situation, because I think most, especially young kids, they're like, I'm going to go play at Duke, or I'm going to go play at University of Texas, or this is what I want to do, and I'm going to do everything to do that. And that might not be in the cards, but it doesn't mean it can't eventually be in the cards. Correct. And I think the other big challenge is it used to be you kind of just waited around for recruiters, and now you almost have to sell yourself, put stuff out on social media, get highlight videos going, which is a completely different game than it used to be. AP courses, man, we love AP courses. We certainly support them. I support them, and they are really the best indicator of success in college. SAT, they talk about the data from SAT and GPA. If you want to know the most for sure way you know your child is going to be successful in college, they take and pass an AP course, and they pass the exam. And that's kind of the critical piece here, because you got a lot of students that take AP courses and they're going, oh, I'm taking this AP course because I need the bump in my GPA. So if you didn't know that you take an AP course and you get a bump in your GPA as opposed to if you were in a regular course. And that's interesting and that's wonderful, especially for kids who are trying to play the GPA game, trying to play the class rank game, and they're going to step in that AP course, and even if they get a C, it's going to be bumped up to a B. And you'll hear a lot of people say, and I don't disagree with this, that taking an AP course and getting a B in an AP course is better than getting an A and maybe an on-level course, because you're pushing yourself, you're challenging yourself, going back to my quote of, right at the edge of your comfort zone. You want to do those type of things. But what we're seeing, and we're seeing at a staggering rate, and I'll hit some other data with you in a second, is you've got all these students who are making A's and B's in AP courses, and then they're taking their AP exams in May. And that AP exam is the only thing truly that gets in the college credit. You can get an A or B in an AP course, a C in an AP course, and that doesn't get you the college credit. You have to take that AP exam in May, and you have to score a 3, 4, or 5, to actually pass. And so you've got all these inflated grades, and all these students who have maybe A's and B's in their AP course, they take their AP exam and they just do a dismal on it. They get a 1, they get a 2, they struggle. And it's not because that student doesn't have a desire to pass their exam. It's because their grade has been inflated. And that grade isn't a really proper representation of what they knew and what they actually learned in that AP course. We're talking about, the overt pressure on teachers to give students higher grades than they actually deserve. And that's been a huge, huge issue, and it continues to be an issue. And I'm going to tell you too, it has a huge impact on college admissions. If you look at any research or talk to a college admission counselor, they will tell you that they are struggling to identify the correct students, because they can't just look at GPA when everybody's got a higher GPA. And so they're having to get come up with some very inventive ways on how to distinguish an apple from an orange and find those students they want to bring onto their campus. And I think that's a challenge. It also, and what are they doing? Well, they're looking at SAT scores heavily, ACT scores heavily. In fact, probably more than they would normally because of inflated GPAs. So it's something that at the college level, they're really working through and trying to get creative and really identify the student that's going to have success on their campus. So when you're talking about STEM careers, because you guys talk a lot about career exploration, what are you thinking and how do you help them maybe predict, down the road, what's a good career path, or is that career path changing?
Yeah. Unfortunately, a lot of kids they're just still stuck on the big domains.
Okay.
I want to be a doctor. I want to be a vet. I want to be a scientist. I want to be an architect. And the challenge that I have every year is helping them to understand all the different facets and all the different pathways of those. So instead of saying doctor, well, have you thought of, there's so many like biomedical research. Sure. You know what I mean? Like there's just so many different things. But unfortunately, I think the advisory is where we in education still need to catch up with the real world.
So what would you say are some top qualities that SMU is looking for in students?
We look for pretty much a well-rounded student. It's not always about academic, although we love a great academic student, but sometimes we need that context. Who are you outside of the classroom? Because what I've learned is some students can be pushed very, very hard by mom and dad in the classroom, but then outside the classroom, like, what do you like? They're like, I don't know. I just been focused on my grades. So I love a student to actually dibble and dabble in a lot of things. Those are my favorite students, but we just looking for a full group. We don't want all students to be 4.0s. We need to balance the class out. So I think we look for a little bit of everything in our students.
Excellent. Curious from your perspective, when you're looking at students that have taken a bunch of AP courses, what are your thoughts? Are they more attractive? Why are they more attractive as potential students?
So we look at how many the school offers, and then we see if you're applying yourself. And then sometimes we'll probably look at the seniors the year before you, so I can see when you was a junior, what the seniors did. So if you had a senior at your high school that took 15 AP courses, and then you only took 4, then I can look at you negatively. But if I see you are applying yourself and doing what others have done before you, that's how we kind of review it.
Is it okay for a student to take an AP course and maybe not get a 3? Just the effort of taking the AP course? Is that better than not taking the AP course?
If it's offered, yes. So the test score does not really directly affect your admission process. To answer your question, if I have a student with no AP courses, all A's. Then I have a student with all AP courses, a few A's, B's. I would like the student with the B's more because I can see that you're challenging yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. What I love is hearing this. There's going to be a lot of educators who hear this that support, underrepresented students, and they're now going to be able to empower the students that they serve and say, hey, there's this great guy named Dante at SMU who would love to help and support you. I'm sure there's other amazing folks at colleges that can support a student who has a passion and wants to go that direction of college, but doesn't know, like you said, how to fill out the financial aid. And I think a lot of times students don't realize that it's an email or a phone call away to get your questions answered, who people genuinely care and want to help you get there.
And that goes back to that prior question, that mistakes students make. A lot of times students do not go the extra mile to just go seek out that answer. It's just, they will think like, I don't know how to do this, I give up. If you just now we have so much AI, so much technology out there where you can kind of ask a question.
So going back to high school educators, what do you wish more high school educators understood about how selective admission decisions are made?
I wish they didn't think it was because this student was bad or the student wasn't good enough or you admitted this student, why this student get in. It's not always a singular like yes or no. It's not a bubble like I'm checking. It's a lot of things go into making a decision for shaping the class. And a lot of this is above my pay grade. I'm going to definitely stay there because my dean and my leadership definitely make those decisions. I just kind of recommend. But I definitely wish students apply to more universities and show demonstrated interest. So just do not apply. Call them, email, let them know.
Commit to a process.
Yeah, let me know that you're serious because when I'm reading the application and if I've been talking and Megan have sent me 10 emails and she came to school, brought mom and dad, and now I know all of these great people.
Yeah.
When I read Megan's application, it's just not going to be a regular Megan to me. It's like, I know this person. And I'm going back to emails that we have sent. I'm reading, catching up. If you had sent me highlight, hey, I won first place in this and this. Now I have all of this context.
Yeah.
But if a student just applied, don't ever email, don't ever call, I never see you, you're just a name on the page at that point. And I'm still going to try my best to evaluate it in the way I would all students, but it's something about the student that kind of makes sure you know them that kind of stands out.
What is your advice for other first-generation students that are applying for college?
Call the schools. If you want to go to a school, call them. Email them. Hey, this is who I am. Wow. This is what I have. This is what I know. Someone can help you. No one is going to say, oh, you don't know anything? Hang up in your face. This is not that type of profession. Let us know what you're lacking. Let us know your shortcomings. Let me know, hey, I need to work on these things. Even if I am not the person that can help you, I can send you over to transfer. Or like, just come in, let's come talk to me in person. Let's just figure these things out. So to whoever the first generation student is, it is definitely doable. It may require a lot of work. Yeah. And you will be the first one doing it. So a lot of things you would not know. Because you do not know something don't mean you're inadequate, doesn't mean you're dumb, doesn't mean you're stupid. It just means you just don't know, right? So you just have to figure out those things. And trust me, for someone that was once in your shoes, it is doable. I did not know. To this day, I really feel like I don't know what I be doing. But I'm having fun with it, and I think that's the passion. Your passion drives you. But yes, it's definitely doable.
My biggest takeaway from our conversation, I've been in education for a long time, but the idea of this wonderful human being on the other end of the line or the other end of an email who cares about me as a student, not just a piece of paper, who is willing to walk me through the process. There are people like you that I think it's awesome. Ta-da! The opinions expressed by our guests and hosts are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views from Classroom to Campus, UWorld, or its affiliates. You can find us on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. Please remember to subscribe and leave a 5-star rating that really helps us out. Thank you so much.